Check. Stuck in the Middle podcast. I'm Reflex, one of your co-hosts, AK's behind the scenes today. Alex in the building, Maya in the building. I want to thank y'all for checking out this podcast on a weekly basis. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. You feel me? Checking weekly. We're on all social media platforms, SITM Podcast. Check out the blog section. Buy some merch on the website, sitmpodcast.com. Appreciate y'all doing that, man. Y'all help us, stay on our toes. This particular episode is sponsored by Perfect Office Solution to provide affordable, professional, flexible, private office space for entrepreneurs in the DMV area. So if you hit them up, let them know we sent you. You get 10% off. The promo code is SITM Podcast. You feel me? Get out your mama's basement, man. Go get your office space. You feel me? Yeah, I'm excited about this podcast today. I've been looking forward to this. Shout out to Jason. He put this on. You feel me? He sent me a link to Jason, the guest in the building, she know Jason. He put me on. He sent me a link. He's like, yo, check this out. And I was like, yo, we got to have her on. And she brought friends. I'm excited to have director, producer, and writer of Plantain and Proverbs. Welcome, Chuckwunonso, Angel, Dureke, Stuck in the Podcast, alongside Mame Kuruma.
Yes.
Sister, Chidema Dureke. Yo, welcome Stuck in the Podcast, Yo, y'all some beautiful ladies, black villain in the building.
You.
I feel blessed. AK, you missing out, but it's so good. I want to start like this to you.
Yes.
You're the writer and creator of this, film. Why did you create Plantain and Proverbs?
Well, I felt like, first, just want to say hi. Thank you so much for having us. It's definitely your podcast, Stuck in the Middle, definitely represents what Plantain and Proverbs stands for. But yeah, I think I always wanted to see myself on screen, see my friends on screen, and I don't necessarily feel like the first gen millennial experience has been on screen in a streaming type of platform. So I wanted to create Plantain and Proverbs to create a space.
What's behind the name?
Oh, so one of my favorite films is Pride and Prejudice. And I think that Plantain is, it symbolizes like the transatlantic love in the sense that if you are Caribbean, if you are Spanish, if you are African, etc., you definitely eat plantain. It might be different, but it's supposed to also symbolize the food that we consume. And also the type of stories tying into the Proverbs part that you might hear from your parents while breaking bread. So Plantain and Proverbs is supposed to balance each other out.
You went out and tapped, so not only your sister, but also, other help. Shout out to CJ. He's also one of the stars in the film.
Yes.
What was it, I just learned there was a whole cast. This is a whole production.
Yes.
How did you get involved? I'm going to start with you, my man.
So I heard about the casting call for Plantain and Proverbs on Backstage.com. It's a website where actors usually go to seek work or if they want to help out or enlist their own projects. And I saw that, the role was something that I'm very familiar with because even though I'm from Sierra Leone, there's still that struggle with duality in your own tradition and where you come from and, being Americanized. So that's something I definitely resonated with. So I thought that I would audition. So I submitted my headshot and resume and she liked me a lot. So she selected me and there were certain things I had to learn. Because, even though it's Africa, it's a different country. Right. And there's a way that, Nigerians go about doing things based on their traditions versus ours.
Cutting plantain, yeah.
Yes. Cutting plantain was one of them. Yeah. So there were certain things I definitely learned. And, it made me, be more one.
Y'all don't cut plantains in Sierra Leone?
We do, but the way we do it is different.
Yeah. On set, we had to go over, we had to cut. There's a scene in the beginning of the film where she's cutting the plantains, and I had to tell you have to cut it a certain way.
Yeah.
At an angle, we do it this way. Just like Jamaicans, they cut their plantain, everyone
and they fry it differently.
They fry it differently, but we all eat it. We just fried it.
I appreciate the fact that you definitely wanted to make sure, it looked right. As far as
God is in the details.
Authentic.
So,
was there some behind Pacha stuff, enrolling your sister in this, or
enrolling? No, so you can tell your story, girl.
Right. So I assisted with pretty much the set designing and the artwork. So a lot of the art and as far as designing placement of certain images and things of that sort is my artwork. So if anyone has actually watched Plantain and Proverbs, when they're sitting at the table to eat and there's this beautiful portrait of a black woman and this red lipstick that she was wearing, we wanted it to mimic her beautiful face,
Right.
and she also had that red lipstick. So
Right.
all of it was fully thought out to where the setting felt like first gen as well. And so the artwork and the photography were images that we took from, so we have a blog called In Chem Life, which is, In Chem means my life, in the Igbo language. And so we wanted the images that we took from our travels to Nigeria, to other African countries,
Yeah.
to be represented in the background. And so as they're telling their first gen stories, there's also another conversation that's being told behind us, similar to this setting. So that's my role. And
Yeah.
That's some Jordan Peele stuff.
I think though, but creatively, my sister and I, through our blog and Chem Life, like our slogan is always like two sisters, two culture, one bond. And I think a lot of our artwork arrives at that space where we're always trying to, like, stuck in the middle, basically.
Right.
We want to talk about the narrative of trying to find balance and double consciousness and duality, trying to figure out your psyche, safe space, having a safe space at home, and then having a space safe in the outside world, and finding a community that's like you, and then to actually meet an actress that represents that. And I was able to find her on Backstage, which is actually a platform that directors and producers and actors use to connect with one another. It's like a Facebook for filmmakers.
Did CJ have to audition as well?
Yes, but I actually I knew CJ too.
Can't just be putting the homeboys in the team.
CJ is really talented, and it was a pleasure to actually have him and to become an Igbo wolf on screen. You know what I mean? It was beautiful. Yeah.
Igbo wolf.
We'll talk about it.
I'm gonna spell a word, and I want y'all to give us the proper way of pronouncing it. Since we're talking about, the P word.
Okay.
Plantain. Looking at
Plantain.
Tell the people it's no plantain.
Plantain. Yeah.
Plantain.
Okay,
The
but
Caribbean.
the transatlantic love here.
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how you say it. It just matters that you eat it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
If it's jollof rice or rice and peas, just eat it.
Plantain the props in the movie.
Yes.
I want to get to know you on a little bit personal bit. I'm gonna start, from you. Who's Chidinma?
Oh, well, that's Shima.
Sorry.
Okay.
We'll go that way then.
We'll
Yeah.
go that way. God
Who?
different. That way. That's my older sister.
Chuckwunonso? Chidinma. Who's Chidinma?
Right. That's a really good question. So Chidinma is a first generation Nigerian American who is creating work and who's creating things for women who look like her and educating those who don't necessarily understand her narrative, but finding this balance between both cultures and creating, whether it may be through artwork, fine art, photography, cinematography, and collaborating, inspiring women who look like me. And also respecting my culture and respecting my parents and making sure that I am, making them proud in the things that I'm creating and doing and inspiring the next generation. So that's me. Yeah.
Amazing. I don't even want to give my answer.
You know what I'm saying? She done set the bar up there. Making me question myself.
Mami is a first generation Sierra Leonean American. My big thing about people is allowing people to feel and allow themselves to process what they're feeling healthily. I'm very big on, just allowing people to just be, structure is good, but also the free flow of, just being human is good as well. And my big thing, like, I'm an actress, so I get to tell people stories. That's a job that I get trusted with, and, you have to be very careful about how you go about that. So for me, it's all about processing what I'm feeling, being free in the space, and allowing other people to, know that they can be that way with me as well. And that's with projects, that's with music, that's with dance, because I also dance, and it's just about letting.
So this isn't your
creative
first
juices flow.
film project?
No, I've done other films, but that's just my big thing.
We'll
just
get into
allowing
it, we'll
people
get
to
into it,
feel and
yeah.
process what they're feeling.
Yeah.
I rate it.
Okay, hi, I am Chuckwunonso, which means God is closest to me or God is near. I am the second daughter of 3 sisters. This is my older sister, Chi-Chi. What about me? I am a storyteller. I am a filmmaker. I'm a director, producer, Yeah, I just love to tell stories. I always say I am first gen through birth, but second gen through experience, because I think that that's a conversation that people need to have. Like, there's levels to the experience. So a lot of my privilege being allowed to pursue art and stuff has come from my parents coming here. And, having parents that have already been here and tried and have overcome has allowed them to raise Igbo daughters in America with a different type of perspective that has allowed them to move into spaces that art is celebrated. So that is who I am. Love to tell stories.
Y'all media trained? Man, they on it, man. I want to say congratulations to you, to y'all landing, a spot on Amazon's first annual film, All Voices Film Festival.
Thank you so much.
How big of an impact was that to this film?
Well, to be honest, okay, so I'll tell you this. So I had, so I just graduated. I went to Howard for film school, the only HBCU with a master's in film program.
Ooh,
I just have to say that. I do think that my narrative, I was able to cultivate myself with people who look like me, understood my stories, and they have ate plantain before, and so it allowed me to be authentic in my narrative. I
hope Maros has plantain chips.
Oh my goodness! Hey, all I'm saying is, what's the point of this? Okay, so I got a fellowship with Magnolia Pictures. I went out to France, and while I was out at it, we had already actually shot Plantain and Proverbs a year ago, and so I actually have a couple of films that I already had that were out there. So the point of this is, when I was out in France, I, instead of going out and networking one of those nights, I sat down and applied for the actual opportunity to be part of the festival. So when I came back from France, that's when I found out that we were selected, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is like amazing, because not only is this festival for diversity, I actually wanted a way for Plantain and Proverbs for people to stream it online, but a lot of people aren't aware of the festival etiquette. A lot of times people make films and instantly just put it on YouTube, but people don't realize where you premiere your film is sometimes more important than the film. And so I had already had Plantain and Proverbs for a year, but I sat on it to make sure that I put it in a place the first time the right way. And so God just allowed, sometimes blessings come from being mostly prepared to and praying. So God just allowed for Amazon to come out, and Plantain and Proverbs is ready. And so you
gotta stay ready.
You gotta stay ready. You gotta have the content. And so people 100%. Don't know. I even came up with the script in class.
And it was fully funded.
Fully funded by myself. I dropped thousands of.
This was not a class project.
It's not a class project.
That she was like, yo, we're gonna make this happen.
We're gonna make this happen.
If we have to shoot it in our place, legit. So
which we did actually. That was our apartment.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I thought it was a class project.
No. We only had to. My professor was like, hey, it was an advanced directing class. One of my mentors, her name is Nefertiti. She has her own production company called Hollywood Studios. Hollywood African. I'm messing up right now. Nefertiti, I love you, but the point of it, Hollywood. And so she had just gave us an assignment to look at a piece of artwork and be inspired by it, and I just went off with this whole thing, and I was like, okay, I'm going to call it Plantain and Proverbs. I want it to give an episodic type of vibe. I want each episode to end with a proverb, and I want each character to either go against what their parents have taught them or arrive at their values.
I'm glad you mentioned episodic, because I have a bone to pick. But I want to ask you first, when you found out, you landed on All Voices Amazon Film Festival as an actor, starring this show, what was your reaction?
I called you first.
It was, yes. I was like so excited. Like, I screamed on the phone, because I was there from the beginning, like from the entire process. So I watched, us go through different phases, us shooting in like all different types of weather. You remember that day when it was snowing?
I remember.
And we were shooting. And, just to see like what that project turned into, and like how my character was a big factor and how I could be of help to that. I was more happy for her than anything. It's great as an actor to be able to, premiere on things and people see your face, but I give credit to the directors and the producers and the people that are actually out there doing the work, because it's their project. You know what I'm saying? We are the face of the project, but they are the backbone. And, I was more happy for her than anything, because I know that she put her heart and soul into that project, and she deserved it. So,
as artists, you know what I'm saying? Like the festival, last question on this real quick. It's called All Voices.
Right.
It's black women as well as artists. And it was created for diversity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Speak a little bit about, that diversity and, being Africans or African Americans and, Nigerians, and creating art, and how that adds to this festival that celebrates diversity.
I think. Were you asking me or just asking John?
Yeah. All of y'all.
Does anyone else want to answer?
I can let you go first. I'm thinking about it for me.
I think that I sometimes always have this conversation: is the artist obligated to society? Do you have to represent and speak for people who look like you? Me personally, as an artist, I do think that I do have that responsibility. I do think that if other people tell our stories, they will never truly know us, and so I do not think that the Black experience is monolithic. We are not all the same. But I do think that if some of us just began to tell our side of our experiences, it will allow more of us to come to the table. But I also don't think that we should wait for other people to create the table. We should create our own table. We shouldn't try to come and sit at other people's tables. So by me already having Plantain and Proverbs ready, that was an example of not waiting for someone else. I can't keep sitting every day watching different TV shows like, well, I wish I could see myself on screen. It gets old. If you're in that lane, which is why I went into filmmaking, create it. You know, and my mom always says create it and they'll come. And so, yeah.
Shout out to Mom Duke.
Yeah, I agree. Like, as an actor, especially as a dark-skinned woman, I agree. Like, when you go to different auditions and when you appear on certain sets, like, there's not a lot of range. Like, we're in a progressive society now, so it seems that way. But when you go to auditions and there's like 7 blonde girls in front of you who are 5'9", or you know, there's a biracial girl or mixed girl, and you know, they all are like seen first, like starting 5, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't look like any of that. It's a struggle sometimes, like as an actor, to see where you fit. And when you have people who just take the ropes and who are like, you know what, I'm going to create a lane, I'm going to create an avenue for you, and all you have to do is be yourself. Like, that's encouraging for me as an actor, because it means that I don't have to change myself, I don't have to alter my appearance, or I don't have to, you know, feel like I'm not good enough to get those roles. Because sometimes, no matter how good of an actor you are, if you don't look a certain way, people will not hire you. They won't, and it's just black and white. Especially in places like New York is a little bit more flexible when it comes to that stuff, but especially in places like LA, where film is a huge thing. That's a reality for some people. You know, they get turned down and passed up on jobs because they don't have a certain look. And you know, now in society, the biggest look is, it's not necessarily more like, oh, they're choosing white people. It's more of like they're choosing biracial, ethnically ambiguous people. That's like the look now. And if you don't look like that, or if you're the further extreme, it can be a bit discouraging sometimes. It can be a colorist issue. So I'm happy that I get to meet women like Nonso and her sister, and you know, so many other people that are creating avenues for women like me, because it gives us hope. You know,
That's dope.
Right. And for me, I feel like they've explained a lot. But yeah, I think they touched on a lot of the points that I was going to bring up. But for me, I think what I value the most, and when you think about like all voices and diversity, is that the beauty in how all of us, you know, how it felt very inclusive. And so sometimes it's like Africans against African Americans, Haitians, and, you know, and for all of us to be in one space and be represented in front of the lens and behind the lens, I felt like that was
100% black.
Yes, just blackness in, you know, from a Western perspective in Africa, like all of us were being represented.
The whole diaspora,
and so,
the whole crew
you know, getting people to see the beauty in like not just focusing on the people who were in front of the lens and watching Plantain and Proverbs on Amazon, but also thinking about the cameraman. You know, the woman who helped to make sure everyone was fed on set, like the entire thing, the makeup artist, everyone was just it was just black people and celebrating us in all our glory. I think that is the true, you know, statement of diversity and not just that the story that you're trying to tell.
And it's funny that she's saying she'll tell you, like, in between the takes, like, I was there as a director frying plantain. Like, I promise
that plantain was burned.
No, but I'm hey, it was
I wanted to tell my sister, like, girl,
on purpose.
I honestly, I was like, no, so why didn't you ask
me?
It
was on purpose.
But I'm glad you said it.
My mom brings it up all the time. I was like,
noticed that plantain was burned.
There is this monolithic.
You said on purpose.
No,
why?
seriously, it was this monolithic thing that a girl that is supposed to be coming of age, Nigerian American, a lot cannot cook. Let's have this.
So you're
real
burning on purpose to say
conversation.
she's learning.
The main character, she couldn't. That's why. So there's
or
a whole
to
part.
show how that we're all flawed.
Let me tell you.
Y'all agree? You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. No, the main character.
But if I fried it, it wouldn't have been burnt.
But I did not, girl. You weren't a part. I could have had you fried. So let me tell you. So we have this thing behind film that's called craft services. The people who take care of food. Like my mom cooked like a bunch of food for everyone to eat.
Right.
We didn't use some of that for the actual production. You see what I'm saying? So I wanted to show the other character, Adana, is supposed to be perfect. So that's why she took a piece of the plantain and put it back in there. She would have made the plantain perfectly. But her character, there were some parts for the film that we didn't even put in. Her mom, she called her mom. Her mom was basically trying to tell her, did you cook it right? But we didn't add that. So you didn't get to see that in the film. Yeah. But my mom comes, she's like, people are asking me, why is the plantain burnt? I'm like, mommy, that's not the point of the story.
So
just
funny.
focus. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
That's a perfect segue to my
But
next.
he noticed it though.
I know. Yeah, it's okay. Burnt plantain. I mean, how many girls have you? Okay, well, let's do it. Okay.
Come on, I know this one. I know I see.
That's a whole another.
That's not
I'm just saying, did all of them know how to cook? Did all of them know how to cook?
Right.
You said what?
Did all of them know how to cook?
All of the girls I talked
Yes.
to? Definitely not.
Exactly.
But I think they could fry plantain, hopefully.
All right, bruh.
At the least.
I want to ask y'all real quick though. What do you graduated from Howard?
Yes, I
Congratulations.
graduated.
It's
Thank you.
filmmaking. What are you pursuing right now? Or we're
Yes.
talking about stuck in a minute. What is your balance?
Okay.
9 to 5 in the passion or?
No, so actually right now, it's so funny you said that. So right now I just graduated, so excited. And I just wrapped up on, so I've been taking on projects, and so I just wrapped up on this music video. It's supposed to be really amazing, called Black Excellence. It's supposed to tell the narrative. And then right now I'm actually working on a film that Jason hired me for as a director. So I'm really excited. It's called Of One Blood.
Shout out.
It's gonna be really, really amazing.
One
So
Blood,
right now,
yeah.
so right now I just got, and I'm just like, funny enough, God has been able to bless me where I've been working on projects and paying my rent with it. So yeah.
Let me just go ahead and say it on
Because that's a real
camera.
thing. It's a real,
Yes.
and a lot of people don't. And because I actually know how to create film from the beginning, of course you need a cinematographer, you need a colorist, you need all of that. But to be able to conceptualize a thought as a screenwriter, director, producer, I'm happy that I have that ability. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it on camera, so you're stuck. You're gonna direct my next music video. What you got going?
So I am the struggling artist. I work a 9 to 5, and
yeah.
you know, I pursue my passion, you know, on my days off or like when I have free time. But I am lucky enough to have access to certain people who are constantly, you know, interested in me for projects. So I'm always working, even when it doesn't seem like I'm working. But you know, I'm not at that level yet where it's like I, you know, can pay my bills with it. So you know, I still have to work, but you know, we're all works in progress. So it takes time.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Oh, what are you doing? Oh, well, you're
What
a
do you
complete
do
boss.
apart
So
from,
let's
you know-
just hear this
Right. So
story.
I am, and I just recently told my sister, like, yo, this is a blessing. But
Yeah.
I run my own like creative agency. So I work for myself, like completely from designing to social media. So I do not work for anyone, but
Amazing.
that is a blessing. I'm telling my sister, like graduating from Howard and being able to just focus on your art and to live as a creative, like that is the dream. You know what I mean? Regardless of what level you're at. But yeah, that's what I do.
most definitely.
And studied fine art, and again, like oil on canvas portraits of Black women. Like that is my.
And her work is fantastic.
Her work is like.
Speaking of Black women doing art, all of the stuff y'all see in here was done by Black women.
Wow,
Yeah,
she's
she's
beautiful. There's
What was
a
her name?
piece
What
that
your
I
name?
saw in the
Yeah.
corner
I did not say what's her name.
with the cap, but it was beautiful. I saw it. That was an abstract
What was her
piece.
name?
But I definitely noticed the art, and I feel like the space is like beautifully curated to where I feel I feel the culture without necessarily understanding the full goal
Yeah,
or
man.
mission. So that's beautiful.
Right.
Let's get more into this movie, right? I feel like I enjoyed it. I feel like, you know, I'm glad you said there's sequels, because I felt like, man, I think the way it ended. I was even having a conversation with my brother AK. It's like, bro, y'all just left a lot of questions. So is there more in the works, in the pipe?
So that's my overall goal. My overall goal is to have Plantain and Proverbs be actual episodic. I think what was most interesting is that a lot of people didn't even believe that I did that while I was a student, while I was in school. And a lot of people were just like, well, why was it a short? And so I'll explain it this way. So a lot of the time, the Amazon Film Festival was a shorts festival, but if people only knew how much money and time it took just to produce that short to be of that quality and caliber, it was intense, and it was a lot, and it took like a year and a half basically for what was that 14-minute video.
Minutes, yeah, 14.
So that's why I want to be able to like raise enough money or hopefully get it picked up. That's my overall goal, to get Plantain and Proverbs picked up where somebody else will want to do the funding and I can just take care of the writing and directing, because it is no joke to be a producer. You have to be in charge of the crew and in charge of the cast, and you have to do a production schedule, you have to do the call times, you have to like figure out, because you have to feed your crew no matter what, you have to feed your cast,
you have to take set too, like
they'll tell you, like I told them like, hey, I want each character to have their nails a certain way, I'll pay for your nails, I will like you have to be that, and everything was thought out, and people are just like, well, why is it only 15 minutes? Like, you don't know how much it takes just to even like do something or to get it colored or to it's a lot that people don't know, and I think until you actually end up doing making, and no shade, but actually trying to make something of quality, you'll get why you don't. I would rather have one thing out that's really good than someone, if I put it on YouTube, someone is just like, girl, we couldn't even hear the sound in the other half of the video. I can't. Yeah, because I do think that as a Nigerian American filmmaker, I want to show we have a lot of great things out here. Like I love, like we watch like in Danny TV, like
girl,
we were just watching All Got Pasta, then it got canceled. Skin Girl in Transit. Like there's so many things. I was just like, why aren't there anything for the first gen experience like that?
Right. Or people knowing what spaces to go and to watch the type of content that they're looking for, where a lot of us aren't really necessarily turning on ABC, Channel 7, Channel 4 to engage with the type of shows we want to watch. So we're on the internet, we're searching. And so I feel like that shows the hunger. Like a lot of us are looking for people that look like us, who can have, an African American accent and still switch it, and looking to see that on TV. It's like, yes, girl, I get it. Like I feel
I was shocked by the responses. A lot of people are just like, thank you so much, I've been looking for this,
who are also American as well. So it was interesting to see how they're like, girl, I have a friend who was like, dealing with marrying this guy who needed a green card, having those types of conversations. It's like you'll be surprised that it's not just Africans who can
deal with it
to the story, to what we're talking about. So
and I do think so. My overall goal is to continue to tell the story, because I do think that if you're really good at storytelling, the story should be universal, and anyone should be able to look at that story and be able to emote and relate to those characters. So man,
y'all done dig like 4 questions deep in my
sorry.
I love it. Mommy, what inspires you as an actor, as an actress?
I would say my need to tell people's story. Like as a young girl, I feel like a lot of the things that I faced was very overlooked. There were avenues for so many different people, and I never saw an avenue for myself. So as an actor, again, it's a big job. It's a big responsibility. You are to portray people true and true. Like, you would be surprised at how offended or upset people get when you miss small things. That's why she said the devil's in the details. Like,
oh God.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. God is in the details.
Well, don't.
Yo, did you see her accent just come out?
Girl,
I'm sorry.
The devil.
It's okay. I'm sorry. God is in the details. Just my drive to like, okay, these people, like, they don't have an audience, they don't have a voice, they don't have someone basically explaining the things that they go through day to day. It's my job to do that, and you will be surprised at how people's minds and perspectives change when they see something in front of them. We're very visual creatures as human beings. When they see people's struggles, when they see what people actually go through, I can think of like so many movies where people have seen depictions of different places and they're like, wow, I never knew it was like that over there until they saw it. It's the same thing with the news. Like, media controls a lot, and it shapes people's perspectives a lot.
Facts.
So that's a very big thing for me. So that's my job. That's the job that I've been given.
Same question for you as a writer and for you as a artist.
I think, funny enough, when I was in high school starting out, I wanted to be a politician. I swear I was going to be a politician. Used to intern for a politician, shadow them, and because I really wanted to change the way people thought. I wanted to like inspire people, have people come together. Then as I got older, I did mass communications when I was an undergrad, and then I finally went off to go to film school. I realized that like there is so much power in creating images that helps people see themselves and to help shape their minds. And I wanted to just like create content content that would help girls that are like me or coming of age to see themselves, you know, just like we were just talking about the whole brown skin girl song. There's so many women that are probably already brown skin that are going to be like, wow, I look nice today, just because they heard a song. Imagine if you kept seeing content visually that emphasized that same notion that you are beautiful the way you are. You'll begin to believe in it. And I think that cinema and film and storytelling, in a certain way, it is propaganda. But if you use propaganda in a way where it's helping to push the narrative forward, hopefully in a positive way, I do think that, like right now I'm wearing a shirt that's called Fufu. But to me, I think it's from a company called Van Goods. But I think it symbolizes the Nigerian American experience because, okay, the coloring might look like the American flag, but the content Fufu is, of course, the diaspora. You know? And so I think in little ways, storytelling can really start conversations, and that's all I really want to do. I'm just inspired to start new conversations.
Real quick, for the young girl or the girls out there, aspire to be, filmmakers. Is film school, you know what I'm saying, like, should they pursue film school or can they just do it themselves?
So I'll say this. I don't think that everyone, do not be fooled. You do not need to necessarily go to film school to become a filmmaker. I have so many talented filmmaker friends that never went to film school, and they could probably tell me more about how to use a camera than I know how to. And even when I was in film school, I spent a lot of my time like buying books on Amazon to teach me extra things because film encompasses so much. There are people who focus just on editing. There are people who do ADR. There are people who do coloring. There are people who are the cinematographers. You have your first assistant cameraman, second assistant cameraman. You have the director. You have the scriptwriter. You have the producer. It is a gaffer. You have, okay, Gigi, I see, girl.
I'm learning.
All right, but the point is, it's so big that even when I was in school, I focused on directing, script writing, and producing. When I first came into film school, I thought I was going to be a cinematographer. I wanted to shoot films, just because I was kind of good at photography. But I don't necessarily feel like it's a must. What I will tell you is whatever you do, be serious about it. I know when I was in film school, like I applied to everything. I would be reading books and my professors weren't even telling me to read. I'm really not trying to sound like an African parent, but whatever you put in life, you will get back. And I really was dedicated to learning my craft because no one is going to give you anything in life. So a lot of the blessings I was able to get while I was in school, like I won $30,000 for another film I have called Bride Price, and it ended up being like the first inaugural winner for a shorts pitch contest. But I would go out of my way and spend time researching different film competitions, and I would apply to them, and then I would send them to my classmates. Some of my classmates didn't apply, but I would spend that time to apply, and those things ended up blessing me. So I don't think film school is a necessity. If you do it, just be serious. That's all. Because and you can go online and read books. And
I think taking the time, like she was saying, like taking the space between like, okay, getting an undergraduate degree in mass comm, right? And then so the expectation after you graduate from undergrad is like, all right, bet I'm going to go back to school, start collecting degrees back to back and never really taking the time to be like, yo, is this something I want to do for the next 30, 40 years? And so I think my sister taking that space, if it's 2 to 3 years, like, let me explore, let me start a blog, let me start traveling and picking up photography and noticing like you have an eye for things that most people can't even see. And so I think that is the true beauty and like where she is today is being able to take that time to explore that, which is sometimes we don't necessarily get the privilege.
And it is super privileged.
You know what I mean? Not necessarily having the support from your parents, because my parents were really like, have always pushed us, even when I was struggling and studying fine art in school. And, my friends, I would go to visit my, African friends, and their parents are like, oh, what are you studying? I'll tell them, they'll be looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm calling my parents like, yo, mommy, I don't know if I can. And my parents are like, in the middle, and they're like, what? Look at this talent that God has given you. Pursue that. Focus on that. And so I think having that support too from your parents definitely helps to help you to like focus. If you need to travel to work on this next project, then go to Africa. Go to Nigeria for the next month. Gain that inspiration. Eat the food. Meet the people. Things like that. And then bring that back here to create whatever it is you need to do. So I think maybe that is part of your success is being able to like explore that and doing that. And then.
But there's something there's a main answer I forgot to say is that you need hands-on experience with filmmaking. So let's say you want to be a DP or you want to be on set, you need to volunteer your time. A lot of filmmakers will go and just be production assistants. It's a physical thing. It's like you can't learn how to cook outside of the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can watch YouTube all you want on how quick way to make jollof rice, but until you go in that kitchen, you will never know how to make jollof rice.
Yeah.
And so filmmaking is very hands-on, especially if you want to be a script writer. You need to buy final draft, or you need to just sit down and write. So it's within the practice that you get better, but I don't think film school is a necessity. I definitely feel like you definitely need to volunteer your time and just try to figure out different ways to better your craft.
I went to film school. Undergrad, it was garbage. Speaking of garbage. Speaking of garbage. I would not put the name of the school out there. Speaking of garbage, what's the last movie that you watched that was garbage?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
The last movie I watched that was trash. Dang. I haven't watched a movie in a bit.
I know what movie.
Yeah.
Yo, the movie that everyone hyped with Issa Rae and this small girl that produced it from Blackish.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
I know what
movie.
you're talking about. The Marseille Martin one.
Where she took over
Yeah,
her body.
yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
the name of it. Complete
wasn't good?
trash. I'm sorry if no one agrees with me, but I fell asleep in the movie. I felt like the movie was the hype, and I feel like this is starting to happen a lot, where there's a lot of hype around movies from influencers, from celebrities, to get black bodies in the seats, and then you're sitting there. I'm like, yo, what am I supposed to take away
Right.
from this? You see what I'm saying? Which I did feel like a lot of it was just supporting, like, yo, it was a 15, 16-year-old girl who finally like produced this, but I didn't even finish that movie. Like, I woke up when the credits, and I think my younger sister tapped me like, Chichi, the movie's over.
Let us go.
And yeah, but we paid for it. We went to support, but I think that was the last.
I like the honesty. It's,
movie.
it calls for, better craft.
Yes, and I was
About
disappointed
Issa
in
Rae.
Issa Rae. Like,
I can't say
because
anything.
I love a lot of her work. and how she started.
I can't. You'll never catch me saying anything bad about her, because I met her at Sundance, and she took off her gloves and she shook my hand, and I told her, I just read some Michelle Obama book, and she was just telling me, like, keep going. Like, she's really nice. You know what I'm saying?
This wasn't a jab at her.
No, I'm just saying I can't say.
Be honest, you know
No, she's
what I'm
being
saying?
honest. I'm just
It
saying
was
I can't.
at the project. Like, I don't know if
Right,
anyone
right.
actually went to go see
This
that
is not a
movie,
shot at Issa.
but-
It's
at
not
a
a shot
project.
either. I'm just trying to say,
Right,
like,
content wise,
yeah.
there's a reason why certain people are able to get into the door. And so for me, it's like, sis, you got this far, you're creating really dope stuff that we haven't seen. So why then drop the ball after you get to a certain level? It's like,
If it was Smith,
But
you
this
gotta
is
go.
what I
you
would
know
say.
what I'm
As a
saying?
company, okay, I'll
Right.
just say that.
So
I'm not even just trying to
that
say
was
this just of
trashy.
how, like, I can't say anything bad about her. But I'm just trying to say, what a lot of people don't know is, like, you can have a big name film in a film, right? Like, say, okay, Issa Rae. But you do not know all the other stakeholders. So when you have an executive producer, whatever they say that final film is about to be, because they put the most money, that's the film.
Yeah,
So you can
that's
be
true.
a part of it in a certain way. You might be a director, might be an actor, but the story is not yours. You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
it
It
might
wasn't
not
her
even-
story
it's
to
not
tell.
her.
I can't
You get what I'm
remember the
saying?
girl's
So
name
I've
with the
learned that
glasses.
too,
What's
because
her
when you
name?
have more
From Blackish?
I think it's Marseille Martin.
Okay.
when you
yeah,
have more,
so
all I'm
her,
just trying to say,
right.
when
It
you
was
have
her-
more people at the table, like, for instance, like if you look at Insecure, totally different vibe. That's mainly all her. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like,
But I wasn't
This
talking
is
about
going
her.
to my next question. How do you critique a film? As a film creator, how do you want people to?
I've had some conversations, and I'm not gonna name drop, upcoming filmmaker, not gonna name drop. I will say this: I've had some conversations where when you are, I don't want to come from like the academia standpoint, but like everyone is not gonna see film in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of iconic black films that people do not realize that black filmmakers were not behind creating that. So you're watching a black film that a white man created. So their perception of what blackness is being pushed into your household, and you're taking that narrative on.
Correct.
A lot of the times black people are not even behind these black blockbusters.
So you're saying do your research.
Do your research, see what content you're taking in. You won't even know. But then at the same time, a lot of us are just like, well, at least they made a film. And it's like Black Panther, amazing film. Who got the money?
Facts.
These are real conversations. But people, sometimes we just want to be like, oh, let's go to see this film. They're finally showing us. But black people are the highest consumers in this country. Of course they're going to create a film like this for us. It's brilliant. Like, we're going to go and spend our money on it. But at the same time, it was great to see Black Panther out. So sometimes it's like you want to be aware of the stuff that you're taking in, and you want to celebrate it because it was a major stride for us. But was it done by us? I don't know.
For making us
Ooh.
the faces of it again, which was the point I was
From
trying
us,
to
from
make.
us.
But yes,
Is it by us or just for us?
That's how I feel about a lot of Tyler Perry movies. Like,
I was gonna ask you, how do you critique performance? Sorry, you.
oh, for me, it's based on. So I'm coming from an actor standpoint. So for me, it's based on character development and like plot. For me, I feel like if a character's not progressive, if there's no growth, you can see it clear as day. And that's why I feel like a lot of TV shows, like for example, what's that Nola Darling TV show?
Oh, She's Gotta Have It.
She's Gotta Have It.
Yeah.
I personally did not like it.
Yeah, I heard
to
that was
be
just
honest with you.
canceled.
I feel like
That
like
joke was
I
trash.
did not like it. Like I feel
First
like there
episode
was
trash.
no
Thank
like.
you from season 1.
From first episode, Seth.
Please go
I
ahead.
also,
Like,
but
I-
okay, but I will give
Yeah,
you guys
thank you.
there's a lot that people don't know.
No.
But
I
still,
understand.
You know-
No,
you
I
know,
understand.
like-
But from an actor's perspective,
Why
Because there are a lot of
you
people
like-
that have never even seen people. I get so annoyed. There are a lot of people that don't even know that She's Gotta Have It is based on the film.
yeah,
Right.
they don't
A lot
know.
But
of
why
people
did
have
you
never
think
even
from an
seen-
actor's that it was?
Yeah, so
it was
from an
trash?
actor's perspective, I feel like the plot was very rushed. There was no like there were no stages in between the plot, and also like she had no progression throughout that entire first season. Like I feel like she was just complacent, like, and it just jumped from stage to stage to stage.
Yeah.
1 minute she's with the guy who's married, and the next
Right.
minute she's here, and then
Right.
it's
She's
with
with a
Mars. Like
woman.
there was no type of character and no type of growth within like her as a person to where you could be like, okay, I can relate to this girl. It's like she was just in a whole bunch of different situationships at once.
And then from an
Literally.
artist
But they're not-
perspective,
but they're
why?
creating
Right.
for the person that is streaming. They're making
But
stuff. No,
okay,
I'm not saying that it's right.
but from an artist perspective, where it was like, okay, this is. I even know the artist that they were pretending that it was
and
her
a lot of people
art
don't know that.
she was
She knows
creating.
the art.
I know the artist that was doing. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Her art that they were using, where they would flash to that scene.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
Right. So for me, seeing that as a millennial black woman, as an artist, I just felt like these were stereotypes that you put together that when people, do you know, there are guys I've dated that have been like, yo, when are you gonna do a portrait of me, like, you know what I mean, very hypersexualized, like,
Yes.
oh, she's an artist,
She's
you
an
know, like,
artist.
so they, all of those
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
you know, braids, light eyes, you see what I'm
Yes,
saying,
yes.
like very different
Yes.
partners,
Yeah.
they inspire her art,
Yeah.
like, it was just things that I could relate to, where it was like, yo, why would you make these stereotypes? You would even perpetuate these thoughts that people already feel about black
Yeah.
women, and female black artists
Yes.
or creatives. Like, why do that? So for me, I was just like, I'm not even.
Yeah.
I don't like this at all. Like, so that's my two different perspectives on it.
I know you about to. I know you.
No, I was gonna say something.
And even parts where they were trying to make it seem like she had a come to Jesus moment.
The thing is
or,
cancelled.
like,
Let us leave it there.
No, I'm just saying,
I
like,
just
even
had to,
moments where
like-
they tried
I
to
just-
make it seem like she was deep. Like
Yeah.
it was
I'll
so
be hon-
surfaced. Like there was no connection.
She's looking at me.
None. Like
Season 2 necessarily for me wasn't my favorite.
It's plantain and chips right now.
It wasn't.
But real quick, I do want to get this in though. It's about plantain. I do want to get this in though, real quick. What's
Okay.
the last movie that y'all watched? It was like, this is for you as an artist, as a director. That was like, man, I want to go create right now. I want to go right now. It just left you in awe, inspired.
It has to be if Bill Street could talk.
Yes.
Period. Hands down. I've seen that film 3 times. I mean, I get it. Everyone is not necessarily gonna watch it and like understand it, but mind you, I love James Baldwin. But you can tell everyone that was on that team, Barry Jenkins, like everyone knew what they were doing, from the coloring, from the costume design, even color theory, to know that the main character, when she walks in, she has on marigold, and you could see how they played with what love
soundtrack.
is. It wasn't just about them falling in love, but it was about like the black family and how we overcome. Like the score, the soundtrack. Me and my sister sometimes we would play it in the morning just to wake up. Like it's like
Man,
sage,
what?
like burning sage in your house. Like
Yeah.
overall, that film was beautiful. I think it should have won Best Film. I know he just won the year before. Was it the year before? I don't know, but he had just won for Moonlight, Barry
The
Jenkins.
year
But
before was
yeah,
Moonlight.
when I watched even Moonlight, I loved it. But even when I watched If Bill Street Could Talk, I was just like, this guy is a cinematic genius. Yeah.
the last movie I saw was Moonlight, actually.
That's Barry Jenkins, too.
yeah,
Same director.
What I really liked about that was it wasn't like your typical type of like, like I feel like the way a lot of black, LGBTQ people are portrayed, it's just one lens. With Moonlight, he was selling drugs, and the guy that he learned to sell drugs from, he was somebody who was openly gay. He was in the neighborhood, and he wasn't really hyper masculine. You get what I'm saying? Like, there was a lot of depth to his character, and there was a lot that he was trying to teach him about being openly gay and being comfortable with that. Granted, he still fell within that same pattern because of the traumatic things that had happened to him as a kid, like his mama being on drugs, and him dealing with being bullying in school. But you could see that this character, there were layers to him. And I love when there's layers to a character. I love when they're just this way or they're just that way. He's just hostile. He's just this, He's just scarred. No, it's like he's scarred, but he's moving and he's developing and he's trying to find himself. And he goes through different stages that mold him as a person. Because think about it. Us as human beings, every time you come in contact with something, it changes you, no matter how small it is. And I feel like that's how movies should be made as well, because that's the human experience.
Especially Black movies.
Yeah.
And we always have to be, either we're just a drug dealer. We couldn't be the drug dealer who's gone through a lot of things, but also does community service in the afternoon. Sometimes they never allow Black characters to breathe and exist like human beings. We always become prop pieces on set. And
I feel like a lot of movies don't depict the humanity in Blackness. Like, a lot of times, I was just talking to my cousin about this. Bad kids in school, especially bad Black kids, when something happens, they're automatically disciplined. There's no therapy. There's no, get your parents involved. There's no counseling. It's either you're suspended or you're out of school. In white environments or other environments, it's like, okay, well, let's take you to a child psychologist.
Right.
Let's take you, let's take you to rehab. Black people aren't given that choice. When we do bad things, we're automatically punished and we're just thrown to the wayside and treated like animals. No one tries to see the humanity in the things that we go through. And, I feel like when movies show layers like that, it gives a perspective. Like, it might change that person's mind who may not necessarily see Black people, and be like, you know what? Maybe I should change my perspective a little bit. We're not given that fair chance. And I feel like Moonlight, I loved it. I cried so many times. I love that movie so much.
You from Sierra Leone, right?
Yeah.
You're the one Sierra Leone woman who I know is like, not crazy.
oh my God, she looked over like, what?
I was led to say that.
Oh,
That's coming from behind the camera.
Oh, yeah. I wonder where that experience is.
That's what I'm saying.
But as we,
what type of Sierra Leonean women have you come in contact
I don't know
with?
many. I told you that I was influenced.
Okay.
I don't know. But as we round up, how do y'all, who've created this, great film, want it to be received, Plantain and Proverbs? How do you want it to be received? For those who haven't watched it yet, or for those who have watched it, probably didn't get it, probably thought the plantains was burnt. Probably thought it didn't end well.
It was the coloring.
Whatever. It's supposed to be okay. Well, I did want to say, I think overall, I just want people to just have an open mind. Take a risk on your own people. Believe that we can create things of quality too, and don't wait for other people to tell our stories. I think it's really important, and I think that we've all been raised on the things that our parents have told us. Why not watch it play out on screen? So yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And I was just going to touch on that. We always talk about buy Black and this, that, all the hashtags in the world.
For us,
right.
Yes. For us.
All the Black supporters.
Yes. Yeah.
On Twitter and Instagram, but how many of us really do it in real life?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're really about the books you're reading, the movies you're watching, the artists you're listening,
be holistic.
Then support someone that you're actually watching this content, listening to it right now. Why not be about what you're talking about?
From us.
Ooh.
What do you say?
For us, from us.
I like that.
Who's single among here? Who's taken?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Single. I am single.
Okay. Taken.
Yes, single. No, single.
Oh yeah, single. DMs open. DMs open.
DMs.
My DMs are closed. I don't have time for it.
Yeah, DMs closed too.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
You good?
What was the question?
Are you single?
Yeah.
Are you single?
Are you single?
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Wow, where is this going to end? No, I'm not.
Well, I just like to end on a light note. But no, I appreciate y'all coming through, man, kicking with us, talking with the podcast, speaking with Nonso, Chidema, and my man, they are involved with Plantain and Private Film.
Thank you.
Yo, thank you for making this movie.
Oh,
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shout out to Jason for putting me on. I was excited to have you on. Thank you for honoring the invitation, being here.
Thank you so much.
And I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for inviting
Thank
us.
you for
Thank
having
you.
us. Thank you for creating this space, like stuck in the middle,
Yeah.
in which we all are. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if you enjoyed what you heard and watched, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, SITM Podcast on all social media platforms. Couch Talk is popping. AK got that thing cranking. Send us topics to discuss. Right now we are talking about the relationship between African Americans and Africans. Do you think there's a divide? Episode 1 is up. We got 2 more in the can. Go check it out. SITM Podcast. YouTube.com/SITM Podcast. It was therapeutic. A lot of people airing out some good stuff. I watched it and I almost cried. I wish I was in the building. But
Nice.
again, Perfect Office Solution is the sponsor for this episode. Hit them up, let them know we sent you. Get 10% off. SITM Podcast is the promo code. I am Reflex. Shout out to Alex, AK in the building. Plantain Private is streaming on Amazon right now. It's only like $1. That's like
That's
cheap.
free. Oh, it's free.
It's
That's
free.
free.
With
Yes.
the private
Wow, watch
version.
this.
All you
No,
need is
no,
a
no.
private version. It's free. No excuses.
Yeah, so go watch it. I'm about to watch it again. And
Yes.
yeah, she's going to my next. I'm just. Hey, this is Talking About Podcast, and we out.
Yeah.